Police revealing new details in a deadly triple shooting. We'll tell you what we've learned.
We take a closer look at what Keeneland has done to make sure its track is safe for the horses racing in the Breeders' Cup.
Who's in the lead as we head toward Election Day? We had the results of the latest Bluegrass Poll.
WKYT News starts now with breaking news.
We continue to track breaking news out of Harrison County, and that's where police have found a man at the center of a golden alert.
77-year-old Wilbur Harrod was found this afternoon at the scene of a crash on Highway 356 in Harrison County. He disappeared from Scott County last week. WKYT's Garrett Weimer is live at the scene with the breaking details. Garrett?
Family members say they last saw Wilbur Harrod when he was leaving a friend's house in Sadieville on Friday afternoon. He was found here inside his car, where he says he spent several days after it went over an embankment. Now, the video you're about to see does not quite do justice to just how steep the embankment is. A passerby here on Highway 356 noticed the red car this afternoon and called for help. Inside, 77-year-old Harrod alive and okay. The car has since been removed, but you can still see the trail the car left behind, as well as a door and seat from the car. Scott County Sheriff Tony Hampton says it was good Harrod was found when he was.
I believe that if he hadn't been found today or the next day, the longer it went on with his age and medical conditions, I believe it could have led to a tragedy of us finding him deceased. And this has turned out the best that it could have.
Harrod was taken to UK Hospital to be checked out. We're told he was conscious and talking when rescue crews found him, although he was a little dehydrated. Live in Harrison County, Garrett Weimer, WKYT.
Garrett, thank you. There are some new details this afternoon in a deadly triple shooting.
One person died in that shooting. 2 others were injured at a home on Jason Drive in Richmond. And we're learning more about what happened and the relationship between those victims. Our Victor Puentes in Madison County with our top story at 5.
According to Richmond police, the 3 people involved in yesterday's shooting knew each other. They say a man shot his ex-girlfriend, her father, and then himself. The shooting started around 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Police say when they got to Jason Drive, they found 2 men who had been shot. 57-year-old Steve Thomas Martin died at the scene. 22-year-old Joshua Brown had been shot in the head.
I talked to my neighbors. They said, "Oh my God," said someone got killed.
Police say they also found a 21-year-old female who'd been shot in the leg. Workers at a nearby liquor store tell me someone had driven her to their parking lot just after the shooting, where she waited on police. A friend of hers told me she didn't want to go on camera. They also said Joshua Brown was her ex-boyfriend. Police say he shot himself after he shot her and her father. Neighbors say this street normally doesn't see much activity.
It's bad. I've been here over 5 years, and nothing like that ain't never happened.
The woman who was shot is now out of the hospital. She was back at this apartment earlier. Police were also here earlier searching the scene. They didn't say what they were looking for. In Madison County, Victor Puente, WKYT.
And police say they recovered the gun used in the shooting, and they do not believe anyone else was involved. Well, the rain the past couple of days has started to move out of the area.
And it's going to leave some cooler weather behind. WKYT Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey's here now with an early check of that forecast.
Windy and wet as expected for the past couple of days. We still have the cold front that is off to our west, and skies at any point over the next few hours can produce some rains in a section of central and eastern Kentucky. Skycam as of right now almost has a little bit of a spring look to it. It fills the part out there with humidity that is way up. Temperatures are into the middle 60s, and we have on and off rains across most of central and eastern Kentucky. Look at that humidity, 75% as of now. Winds are cranking up from the southwest at 16 miles per hour. The occasional gust mind you, up to 30 miles per hour. In the Lexington area, as of now, one more little shower on the southwest side of town. We got some rains making their way across the Frankfort area into parts of Scott County. Broaden out the view a little bit more to show you this is by no means what we were tracking at this same point last night when it was wall-to-wall rainfall on Defender south of 64 down the Mountain Parkway, Hal Rogers Parkway. A lot of gusty showers on the move there. We're going to watch the northwestern sky because that is still where our cold front is located. That big area of low pressure has snow on the backside of that into parts of Wisconsin. As far south as Iowa, Minnesota, the Dakotas getting in on some of that too. We're going to get the chilly air and those gusty winds that will roll on through town over the next couple of days. So yes, we're going to get better in the short term, but guys, we've got another storm system to track in time for that big weekend that is just around the corner. And I've got a brand new hour-by-hour forecast to share with you when I come back in just a few minutes.
Chris, thank you. Speaking of that really big weekend, we are getting closer. Breeders' Cup races begin on Friday.
That's right. Today, Keeneland took time to talk about the safety of that track. Our Sean Moody shows us what's been done to make sure that no horses are hurt.
We've talked a lot over the past few weeks about how Keeneland plans to take care of the tens of thousands of people who are going to be out here to watch the Breeders' Cup, but they're also focused on making sure the horses and the riders out there on the track stay safe as well. At a panel discussion this morning, Keeneland, Breeders' Cup, and veterinary officials talked about the importance of safety out there on the track. That involves security measures, pre- and post-race testing, exams, and track accreditation. Keeneland Association Vice President and Chief Operating Officer Vince Gabbard said they test both the dirt and turf surfaces throughout the year to make sure it's consistent all the way around. He said that is important for horses' safety. The track passed the most recent inspection, and Gabbard says everything else should be ready to go.
We have a lot of our security protocols in place should something happen to make sure that we are treating it correctly and efficiently and make sure we're getting to any jockeys or anybody else in a very quick manner.
Now, of course, from yesterday into today, there was a whole lot of rain, but Gabbard tells me that that track is draining as it should. In Lexington, Sean Moody, WKYT.
Keeneland switched to a dirt surface last year.
You can attend the Breeders' Cup this weekend while helping a good cause. 15 tickets to the races have been donated to the Catholic Action Center. WKYT's Michelle Chamberlain shows us how buying one will benefit the organization.
This is truly the combining of what a lot of folks would think would be the top of Lexington, along with those who are usually forgotten or invisible.
The Catholic Action Center takes care of nearly 40% of Lexington's homeless population. It runs the Community Inn, which is a night shelter for men and women who have no home. The shelter provides a place for more than 100 homeless people to stay every night of the year.
And the blessing for us is that people realize that we will accept all. We're here to care for our brothers and sisters in need.
A volunteer kindly donated 15 Breeders' Cup tickets in hopes to help bring in money to the organization.
To combine this festive Breeders' Cup, which is a world event, with those who are suffering on the street is just truly, he has a heart of gold.
If these tickets sell at face value, they will provide nearly 600 nights of shelter here at the Community Inn, a much-needed boost with the winter months approaching.
The fact that someone is donating tickets from the Breeders' Cup to help the homeless who have no home is just an amazing cross-cultural experience.
In Lexington, Michelle Chamberlain, WKYT.
Ramsey tells us the tickets should raise about $1,400. They're being sold at face value, and buyers are asked to make donations on top of that ticket price. You can buy them at godsnet.info.
We continue to track the search for a man wanted for shooting officers in 2 states. Police say that Floyd Cook shot an officer in Tennessee during a weekend traffic stop. He's also accused of shooting at police in Kentucky during a chase. He was last seen at a home in Cumberland County before it burned in a suspected case of arson. Authorities think that Cook might be with Troy Wayne. They could be driving a 2006 beige Ford Ranger. We've watched the campaign ads for months. As Election Day nears, a new WKYT Herald Leader Bluegrass Poll reveals who's leading and who's falling behind in 5 key races.
Here is WKYT political editor Bill Bryant.
Good evening. Headlining the new WKYT Herald Leader Bluegrass Poll are some big gains for the front runners in the races for Attorney General, State Auditor, and Agriculture Commissioner. The race for Treasurer is too close to call, while Secretary of State Allison Lundergan Grimes appears set for re-election. Let's start with the hotly contested Attorney General's race between Democrat Andy Beshear and Republican Whitney Westerfield. Governor Steve Beshear's son leads 47% to 35%. Andy Beshear is up 9 points compared to our Bluegrass Poll results a month ago. Westerfield is down 3 points. There is also late momentum in the auditor's race. Incumbent Democrat Adam Edlin leads Republican Mike Harmon 42 to 34%. Edlin was leading by just 2 points a month ago. Now he's leading by 8. In the state Ag Commissioner's race, Republican Ryan Quarles expanded his lead over Democrat Jean Marie Lawson-Spann. It's 40% for Quarles and 33% for Lawson-Spann. But in the treasurer's race, it is too close to call. Just 2 points separate Republican Allison Ball and Democrat Rick Nelson. Ball shows up at 37%, Nelson at 35%, and 28% of voters are either undecided or are not following the race. And Secretary of State Allison Lundergan Grimes should win a second term, according to the poll. The Democrat leads her Republican challenger Steve Nipper 50% to 37%. But as we near Election Day, it doesn't look that it's going to be a clean sweep, obviously, for any one party.
While Republicans look strong in a couple of seats, the Democrats you would expect to start pulling away are doing just that. Allison Lundergan Grimes, Andy Beshear, Adam Edlin. These are Democrats who have much better name recognition across the state than their Republican challengers.
Ahead on WKYT News at 6, the governor's race. Survey USA talked to 1,200 people across Kentucky for the Bluegrass Poll. It was conducted for WKYT, the Herald Leader, and our partners in Louisville. Bill Bryant, WKYT.
An unusual sight in the skies today. A high-tech military blimp broke away from its tether in Maryland, and it drifted away. The blimp was brought down and secured in Pennsylvania about an hour ago. The blimp snapped power lines as it moved north, causing 18,000 power outages.
A South Carolina sheriff's deputy seen on video violently removing a student from a desk has now been fired. The video shows Deputy Ben Fields tossing the girl to the ground and dragging her across the floor. The sheriff says another video shows the girl hitting Fields before the incident, but he says that doesn't justify the deputy's actions. House Republicans have nominated Congressman Paul Ryan to be their next speaker. Ryan will replace current Speaker John Boehner, who unexpectedly announced his resignation last month. The full House is expected to elect Ryan as Speaker tomorrow.
Lexington Catholic has added an out-of-this-world opportunity for students. The school has partnered with the National Air and Space Education Institute. The program allows students to take one course each year in either space science or aeronautics science. The aeronautics track allows students to earn their pilot's license after 4 years of study.
It means a lot because not that many schools do it, and so it's a really good opportunity for kids to do that.
In addition to studying in the classroom, students do flight training and attend camps and competitions.
It is time now for better living, health, education, and consumer news that impacts your life. Stroke is the 5th leading cause of death in the U.S., killing nearly 130,000 Americans a year. While the risk increases as you get older, it can happen at any age. Marley Hall introduces us to a woman recovering from a stroke she had at the age of 38.
As a writer, Rana Meyer depends on words to make a living. But a year ago,
I couldn't speak normally. I couldn't get my words out. I couldn't read. I couldn't write.
The 38-year-old had a stroke after ignoring a doctor's warning months earlier, thinking she was too young to be concerned.
He said, you have to go to the ER. Your blood pressure is very high. And I was like, I'm not going to the ER. Like, that's crazy.
2 months later, Rana was in the hospital. More than a day after her symptoms had started, the tear in her artery caused her to lose her language skills.
Studies have shown that you lose close to 2 million brain cells every minute an artery in the brain is blocked.
Her doctor says Rana's youth helped her make an almost full recovery. She still had to undergo intense speech and occupational therapy, and she still isn't 100%.
If I'm talking to someone or I'm texting someone, I'll like sometimes say the wrong word or type the wrong word.
But she keeps words of encouragement nearby and promises to always follow her doctor's advice from now on. Marley Hall, CBS News, New York.
High blood pressure, high cholesterol, and smoking are all major risk factors for stroke. Signs of stroke include weakness or numbness of the face, arm, or leg, trouble with speech and understanding. And doctors say if you see signs of stroke, seek medical attention immediately. Well, we all have trouble with our memory from time to time. If you're concerned about yours, you have an opportunity to get it checked. UK is offering free memory screenings next week. The screenings can help establish a baseline for future comparison and catch any problems you might already have.
It's important to detect that early because there are treatments that can help improve the symptoms, and sometimes we can actually identify treatable conditions which, if we catch it early, can help improve the problem or prevent things from getting worse.
The screenings will take place November 3rd from 9 a.m. to noon at the Polk Dalton Clinic on Elm Tree Lane. There's also one November 4th from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Sanders Brown Center on Aging on South Broadway.